Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division review show. We'll start off on Thursday where Dundalk came out on top in the loud Derby, finished Drogheda United 0. Dundalk won. Conor Malley with the winner in 65 minutes. I don't know if you've seen the game, any of the highlights, whatever, JP, but I was at the game and I'll just throw this in. I've seen the highlights as well, and I was baffled because the best chance of the game, apart from the goal, was a Darren Markey chance where he was in one-on-one with Shepherd at 0-0 and he blazed over the bar. Didn't show that in the highlights. So I'm just completely baffled by that because anyone who's seen the highlights wouldn't have seen that. It was a Dale Rooney free kick, by the way, they didn't show either, which was very close. Shepherd was going across, so it was very close. So arguably Drogheda's two best nearest chances maybe weren't even shown in the highlights. I couldn't understand it. So that's an interesting thing. It's always interesting when you go to a game and then you see the highlights and you go, here. But big win for Dundalk, huge win for Dundalk because first of all they get one over their rivals away from home. Second of all, Drogheda, and I think Dundalk fans will admit this to be fair, Drogheda done most of the pressing in the match, were generally the better side. But ultimately Drogheda failed to convert their opportunities. And when I talked about the two best chances of the game there, that's apart from the penalty, obviously which Draper missed. And I remember thinking at the time, was Drogheda lads around me, and I said to them when the young lad stepped up to take the penalty, I said, I'm surprised Ryan Brennan or someone more experienced isn't taking this penalty. And he just looked a bit nervous. He stepped up. He obviously
Here's in the
missed.
situation.
Yeah, to add insult to injury, went off. I think a concussion about 30 seconds later. We just didn't have him at all. I know, yeah. But I just thought it was a bit strange because it's all right to say someone's hindsight, but I thought it before that. Like some Ryan Brennan would have stood up almost cocky and scored that penalty, that kind of way. So it was a strange one. They would have deserved something out of the game. I know Stephen O'Donnell wasn't very happy with the performance at all, and to be honest, he's right. But to come away with the 3 points in a game that you didn't really play your best football in a big derby, I mean, they're up to third now in 11 points. You can't really argue against that. And obviously, Shepherd got plaudits for saving the penalty as well, and he is a very good goalkeeper. But massive win for Dundalk. You did have a good chance near the end as well when Drogheda were pushing, where it was Robbie Benson and the strike actually hit Connor Keeley, deflected up off the bar and over. But yeah, massive win for Dundalk. A bit of a smash and grab, but they'll be delighted with that, JP. They won't care.
No, it's all about points on the board, especially in the early stage. Um, the only bit of highlights I saw was the penalty save, and
The highlights
I
weren't great anyway, I have to say, from
thought it
what I
was
saw in the game. But anyway.
thought it was a really good save from Nathan Shepherd, to be honest, because it's not like it's right in the corner, so he's able to get out
Mm.
full stretch and save it with his hand.
Mm.
It's quite close to his body, so for
Mm.
him to get right down and stop it the way he did was,
Mm.
I thought, a fine save. Dundalk, I saw them the week before in the Brandywell, and they were impressive defensively. In terms of how they were able to hang on, they didn't quite have the high line against Derry as what we had we had been seeing from them
They did a little
since
bit, I have to say, JP, just
Donald's.
put across quickly there. They did a little bit against Drogheda, but at times Drogheda were trying to play the ball down the flanks, you know what I mean? But they didn't really have wingers because obviously
Yeah,
Markey and Grimes playing as number 10s and such. And a lot of the time the balls were overhit and they weren't very accurate. So you could see they tried to target that to some degree down the flanks, but they didn't have, like, they don't play with wingers as such. I know Dale Rooney be considered a winger as such, but he kind of comes inside a little bit as well. So I just thought that was interesting because it didn't match what they had on the pitch, if you know what I mean.
yeah, and look, I think is that Drogheta's first defeat of the season, like so.
At home,
Um,
they were beating away to Bowles as well.
yeah, that's right. So look, they'll be disappointed, because they picked up 6 points in this fixture last year. So yeah, they'll be disappointed because it's their main rivals, their local rivals. But they'll be happy with the start that they've made, like really. And Dundalk, as you say, didn't you said that they didn't play well. Donald wasn't happy with performance. Second half the week before, as I say, I saw them against Derry. They played most of the half in their own half, kept the clean sheet, so they haven't played well in their last two games, and they've kept
Away
clean
from
sheets,
home.
away from home, which is a positive thing. Um, so the O'Donnell Wolves look at this and say, right, well, we haven't played well, but we can use it. They build upon, and look, at the start of the season, we thought maybe they weren't as strong as what they were last year, but I think it's the last 3, 4 games showing that they're improving game by game, and they've now got 2 weeks where they can work together and iron out any um thing that O'Donnell doesn't like or hasn't they've been struggling with. So good 3 points for Dundalk, and say it puts them right up there. And um look, early days yet they be talking about where teams are going to finish, like so. But what you can do is get points on the board and get your hat in the ring, and that's exactly what Dundalk are doing.
Absolutely. Turner's Cross finished Cork 3-0, Shelbourne 2, Honohan OG on 10 minutes. Moylan with a smart finish was left foot in 15 minutes. And this was a game that I didn't see the full game. I've seen highlights, and obviously I talked to a few people about it. But Shelbourne generally took the game to Cork, which they'll be happy with. There were two possible fouls from Rory Keating, but I didn't think any of them were fouls personally. I thought the first one, it was played through to him, but he kind of delays a shot. And I think the defender just gets across and does enough to get a challenge in. I don't know what you thought about that.
No, I don't. I think if you're going to be giving penalties for that, you'll be giving penalties.
Yeah.
You'll be giving penalties throughout the entire game. It's probably one way you're going to get a free kick for it, but for me, I don't think you can give a penalty for that. I think
He was more looking for the penalty.
yeah. I think football's a contact sport, so you don't want to be taking that completely out of a game. Look, we spoke in the previous show about Shelbourne. This is a type of game where Shelbourne need to take a game to the opposition, because we feel that Duff is still trying to maybe play the underdog tag this year. I don't think that's going to be. Don't think that's going to. People aren't going to buy
Fair
that.
JP, they have got some good attacking type players with flair. I mean, Jack Moylan, Matty Smith, and Levy's come in and I think look sharp as well. So it's not as if they don't have attacking threat, because they clearly do have attacking threat there. And obviously Sean Boyd, but he's missing at the moment. And like there is fluidity in their attack if you kind of let them. I can understand why he does it against Derry, maybe Dundalk potentially, and Shamrock Rovers in a general sense. You know what I mean? But these kind of games, in fairness, he didn't. In fairness, they did look a bit more expressive. And from talking to Shelbourne fans and Cork fans, definitely more expressive in the game. But Barry Coffey did miss a great chance at 1-0 as well, where he should do better, shouldn't he? For Cork.
He should be scoring that, like, really. And it could be completely change the whole game, like, because you see 5 minutes into this.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think it was 1-0 at the time, the Shells, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes into the second half, and Shelbourne go 2 up, and it's probably a long way back for Cork. Even a 2-0 down at Turner's Cross. But as I say, like, this is the kind of game where you want to see Duff letting the reins off a wee bit, and can totally understand the games that he doesn't. But I don't think people are going to buy his underdog tag this year as much as maybe they did for last year, because they're not the new boys on the block anymore. Cork are, and he's done the right thing. He's gone out and he's picked up 3 points. And look, I'm sure Shelbourne fans were probably sick of me saying about the 1 win in 15 or whatever, and it's now they've got 2 wins in their last 4 games, so it's positive for Shelbourne. And I think they're a team that should be looking to move up a table this year, not looking to again establish themselves. Because I think they've done that last year by surviving and get the cup final. I think this is a year now where they have to try and move themselves up the table a wee bit.
Yeah, no, it is a good win for them, because they would have looked at Cork, because you're saying the underdog tag, but there's still Shelbourne fans thinking, look, we still have to focus on maybe staying up. So winning in Cork is a big result in that way. But it's interesting, after 6 games, they scored 4 goals, the same amount as UCD, the least in the league. They've conceded 3, which is the same as Derry. Both those sides have conceded the least. So, you know, as I said before, they're a team that generally, the way they set up, they're not going to score or concede many goals. And as a result, they will pick up points here and there. So I don't really see them as a threat for bottom 2, to be honest with you.
No, what they were last year was they were hard to break down, Keith.
Yeah.
The 4 games Derry had against them in the league, Derry struggled. They break them down, and then the cup final in the Aviva, the big pitch, Derry just absolutely tore them to pieces on it. So domestically, they were tough. They play against. Um, I don't see them as a threat for the bottom two. No, definitely not. I think last year they got sucked into it because they focused on the cup run.
Mm.
I think this year they can't they can't allow themselves to be sucked into it this year because they could very easily drop on it. This year because I think looking at the table, it's early days, but I think UCD are probably going to be the team that are going to finish bottom, and
Mm.
then you're probably looking at Cork, Drogheda, and then Shelbourne are probably going to be that third team that maybe people
Mm.
will be looking at. But for Shelbourne, for me, I think they should be looking as a team to be staying away from that bottom two and maybe pushing for a sixth or seventh place finish. And one thing that they will be again is hard to beat. And but when they're making themselves hard to beat, they have to try and find the balance and try and pick up 3 points along the way as well. Because if you're being hard to beat but only getting draws, it will catch up with you. And I think that's what happened last year, and they were looking over their shoulders whenever they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, Deliman Park finished Bohemians 2, UCD 1, and Bowls are at top of the league in 15 points. We were actually joking after the first game last that the Bowls are top, but to be fair to them, 6 games gone, 3 points clear. It's been a great start for them, and I think Declan Devine has definitely helped put a bit of pride back in the Bohemians jersey, something that was definitely lost. But this win, I think, was massive because Bishop gives UCD the lead after 12 minutes. But then it seems like everything's gone wrong for Bowls because the goal was disallowed from Afalabi, who apparently Coote went over the line. Not sure if he did or not, but it wasn't. It was disallowed. And then right in half time at 1-0 down, on the blower, like Ali Coote skies a penalty over the bar. And you're thinking, last year Bowles collapsed in the game like that. To come out in the second half, Kirk with a brilliant goal, actually. Not just the finish was right foot, but the movement to cut inside. And Ali Coote scored a very good goal in 58 minutes, and suddenly Bowles are in front and they win the game. So massive how would you say, the confidence boost. And as I said, I don't think Bowles win that type of game last year. So their fans have to be very happy at the moment what they're seeing at Dalyman Park.
Aye, I'm sure they are. Say that they went down a goal early on. Last year they probably collapsed in UCD to go on to win that game, maybe 2-0, 2-1 or whatever. Especially when Bowles missed the penalty, UCD are probably thinking, this is our night here. But I think one, and I did say it in a show earlier in the season, is Devine will, what he will do is he'll put pride back into the club. He done it at Derry twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and he'll bring character to the dressing room. And one thing he'll not stand for is people giving up. Remember being 2-0 down at Oriel Park if, under him, and
Mm.
we came back to two each, and there was always, I think, in the one season we played Dundalk 5 times across the league and cup, or maybe was it 6 times, I think. And I think there was 4-2-2 draws on it. So and I think one of them games we scored a last minute equaliser. There was another game, 2-0 down as I said there, and then I think one was a cup quarter final or third round or whatever. We were beaten three, we came from behind twice and then beaten extra time. Then the other was the League Cup final. We lost in penalties. So I'm raising him stating them games as it shows how much character that he puts in and his team, and they fight for him basically and
He's
that
also
that
getting a tune, JP, from players that looked like
they
last
would
year
go.
they'd no real interest. Ali Koosh being
Yeah,
one in particular, like missed that
yeah,
penalty. That was a very good goal, and by all accounts was excellent. And he's played well for Bowles this season. Like he was a passenger last season.
yeah, and you sort of wonder how much of that was it down to the manager that had
Had it gone stale under Keith
had
Long.
it gone stale, yeah. Um, had they been sick looking at one another basically as a group. And sometimes that's what it takes new blood to come in and rejuvenate certain players, and he's one of them, and he's a key asset for them, especially when they were losing Alexa Ross, Tierney, and Georgie Kelly from the previous squad. Keith Buckley was another one, and I think having him back is probably no coincidence that the standards has gone back to what it was maybe 3 years ago. You know, when they were chasing Rovers maybe for the league for a wee bit when they thought they were in a title race with Rovers. Um, and it did, like, the one interesting thing is Bows have started like this. The interesting thing is when they get injuries is how they're going to be able to cope. Um, because if you look at Derry squad and Rover squad, Derry have 5 or 6 on the bench that could maybe walk into their starting 11. Rovers probably have two sets of 11s. All right, the points as for them isn't showing at the minute the quality in their squad, but I'm sure as the season goes on it will. It's whether when Bows maybe can they remain injury free, suspension free. That's the main thing if they can do that. But look, a fantastic start for them. They're 3 points clear at the top, and as I say, you can't. It's too early to maybe be saying about this position and that position. But what you can do is you put your hat in the ring for further on in the season, and like these 15 points could go a long, long way for Bohemians this season.
Yeah, the Brandywell finished Derry City 1, Sligo Rovers 1, Derry City's second draw in a row at the Brandywell. Mata, 25, who's been excellent so far this season, to be fair, has taken up that Aidan Keane and Mantle well, 5 goals this season. Was a good goal, to be fair. And Kieran Call in 81, who does very well. It's a great header. You won't question Sligo defence because Call wouldn't be the biggest guy, like, from a corner kick, but he does very well with the header. It's a little disappointing for Derry, but what would be more disappointing for Derry is the early goal from McGonigal that was disallowed. There are no Sligo fans might watch it and say like Nicholas stops, but it's a good finish, and I think he probably struggles to get there. The point is, Ollie McNeil is fouled, or O'Neill, sorry, is fouled, and it goes right in the path of McGonigal, and the referee, instead of letting play go on, Derry were in an advantageous position. I mean, you can see it clearly. Stops the play and holds it back, and ultimately, Mata put Sligo in the lead, and it's obviously an uphill struggle from Derry for the rest of the match then, and, it finishes 1-1.
He let the play go on, Keith. That's the annoying thing about it.
He did. I was going to say that,
He
actually.
let the play go on.
Yeah.
He let the play go on for
a couple of seconds.
a few seconds. And then the one time that he blew it up was the time was when McGonigal had got past Pineacker. Now I know Sligo fans have said Pineacker stopped because the whistle gone, but I think by the time that whistle gone, McGonigal was ready to pull the trigger, so he was past Pineacker. Look, I'll take their point that Nicholas didn't dive because of whistle gone, but it was a good finish, and it's whether McNicholas could get down and save it.
That's
Who
not
knows?
even the point, though, really, is it?
It's not the point. It's not the point. Look, he's come out and he's held his hands up and he's admitted that he got it wrong. But for me, that's not good enough, to be honest. You have to get these big decisions right. Now only Adriano really will know why he blew up
No, it doesn't
in that situation. But it's a game changer. Derry had started brightly. They had Sligo sort of defending on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, McGonigal had a chance just before that, didn't he? Where he just
He did. And Sligo then it was a fine team goal because it started in front of the Derry City dugout, and Hartman did well 3 times. I think he nearly lost it and
How
managed to
was
get
he?
in.
I heard he had a really good game.
Oh, he was
Like a
excellent.
player.
He was excellent. He was absolutely brilliant. I think it was Pineacker was given man of match by Colley, but if I was going to pick a man of match, I think it would have been Pineacker or
Hartman.
Hartman, because I thought he was excellent. Like but even where I think he interchanged between the left and the right. I know he's predominantly left footed, but no matter what side of the pitch he played on, he was fantastic. Really top player. And Sligo are lucky to have him. And you just wonder as a Sligo fan, what could you have achieved out of last season had they not messed up his registration, and had him for the back end of last year. But the thing is, they have him now for the up until June or July this year, and it's
At least, anyway.
will Leipzig bring him back? Will they allow him to extend that and be away from Leipzig for that length of time? Because it would end up being maybe a year and a half away. So
Mm.
there's that you have to weigh up. But I thought he was excellent. He started it, got it in the midfield, and then they got it wide. Then the left back Hutchinson, he put a great ball in, and Kieran Cole just got underneath it with nothing they fault for him. It's just Max Mata did well. They peel off, and just that sort of meant Cole was having they maybe track back a wee bit. They try and get something on it and couldn't. But a great header by Mata.
Yeah.
I think he scored 7 goals last year in the league or something like that, and a few in Europe. And he's got 6 already, I think, this year in the league. So we did say when Aidan Keena went, could Mata step up and get them type of goals? And he's already in the league. He's already 1/3 of the way there after 6 games. So it's all looking positive for him. I thought Derry didn't. I thought Derry let the decision for the referee affect him, Keith.
Yeah.
I don't think we played well after that, to be honest. Um, uh, Sligo then when they took the lead, they defended well. But what I will say is that it's not the only big decision. Um, Adriano really got wrong. There was another one. He booked John Mahon for the tackle on Ali O'Neill. Derry were then, I think, it may have been 1-0 to Sligo at the time. Derry were on the attack, and somebody went to flick a ball past him the halfway line. He deliberately handled it. So there was another big call that it should have been a second yellow.
Is
And
that
John
why he was
Russell,
taken off at half time?
that's what I was just about to say. John Russell knew that he was an hour foul away from a red card, and that's why, in my opinion, John Russell took him off, unless he's carrying an injury, but I highly doubt it. Um, to be fair to
Speaking of
Derry,
injuries, JP, Bronifac looks like he got a bad injury, didn't he?
I don't actually know what happened there. He went in. Ben Doherty chased him.
Mm.
Uh, Ben Doherty chased after him,
Oh no, it
and
seemed innocuous, but
he fell.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden he started waving his hands. And at this stage, I think it was 1-0 to Sligo. People were thinking, no, you
Mm.
know what, that's on because he'd lost the ball basically, and Doherty was through to maybe play a pass in, and people thought that was maybe Sligo at the start of their sort of like lying down or whatever. And then you seen how much distress he was in. Then you realised that you know what, he is in trouble
Yeah,
here,
she
and
is hurt.
um, I wish him well, like, and hopefully it's not too bad, and hopefully he's back playing. But I thought for Derry that they didn't play well. They didn't create a lot of chances. Um, they didn't make good work of their set pieces, but the one set piece they did make good work with was Ben Doherty put it right on the head of Kieran Cullen, a fantastic header. In
Mm.
my opinion, I think Kieran, aside from maybe Jordan McAniff, who's been their top goal scorer and played really well in midfield, I think Kieran's been the other standout player for us this year. He's played in every position along that back line, apart from nets. Let's hope he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Um, he's played right back, centre back, left back, and it just shows how much of a top pro he is. That he can play anywhere along the back line, and um, I thought he deserved that. I think it's only his second goal for us. I think, I think he may have scored this a couple of years ago down at Rovers and an equaliser in that game too. And um, I thought Derry just have to take it on the chin now. Two home games, 2 draws against Sligo, Dundalk. Um, use the international break now to regroup. And be ready whenever we come back against Shelbourne. In a week and a half time. Down in Polka Park. So look, wasn't their best performance. But you're going to get nights like that. But the main thing was that they fought and they got a point out of it. And look, it could be a crucial point at the end of the season. Um, and hopefully that come the end of the season we'll not be talking about um Adriano reeling his decision to blow Jamie McGonigal up when he's in 1-1.
Yeah, I mean Sligo, yeah, exactly. Sligo will be very satisfied with their start of the season, I think, as well. But Palace Stadium, if in the relegation 6-pointer, because Shamrock got 2, St. Patrick's Athletic 2, and didn't do them any good, any team any good. But I was at this game as well. I don't really see much of it, but even in the highlights, they didn't show enough. Again, there were so many opportunities in this game, JP. Obviously, 4 goals, but both teams you can see are playing with a lack of confidence. They really
Yeah,
are because defensively both teams are very ropey in this game and all are untold. You hear me? Tell gives Shamrock Rovers the Derry in the brain there. Tell gives Shamrock Rovers the lead on 20 minutes. Owen Doyle equalised through a penalty. Jack Byrne with all the space in the world with a brilliant finish in 54. Mulroney with a brilliant finish at 88. And ultimately, I think Pats will be more happy with the point because there's been question marks about their spirit, but they came from behind twice in the game. They could have scored 5 or 6. Rovers could have scored 5 or 6. But I think in the second half, there was a phase where Rovers were 2-1 up and well on top. Jack Byrne was dominating the game, giving a lot of space, not too much space, but dominating the game. And they had chances, 1 or 2 chances to make it 3-1. And they just didn't take them. And I think whereas Pats look a bit nervous defensively still, on the other hand, Rovers looked like they didn't have the conviction or confidence to maybe get that turn on and finish the game. There was still a couple of chances at the end after Pat scored for Rovers as well, which was a bit mental that end of the game as well. But the amazing thing that you have to say with this is the fact that it's 6 games in and Shamrock Rovers still haven't won a match. Yes, they've only lost once, drawn 5. It's a bit crazy, but the 10 points behind their arch rivals Bohemians, for example, and they'll go to Bowls in a few weeks or at home, I can't remember, but they'll be playing Bowls and they'll be behind them in the league, which would be an interesting dynamic. Doesn't happen very often, but it has to be worrying now for Stephen Bradley. There's one thing I think Bradley done in the game, actually. I think tactically, and I think Clancy got things right in this particular game where he brought on young Adam Murphy. He was only 17. He was really good when he came on, gave Pats with the legs in the middle of the park. And Mulroney was obviously excellent as well and it helped change it. But I remember saying to some fella beside me at the match, there was about 20 minutes to go or something like that. Johnny Kenny took Johnny Kenny off and brought in Lee Grace. Now I thought Kenny was causing Redmond and Lewis in particular serious problems at the back, and with his movement, when he stretches the game and all that kind of thing. I thought he was doing really well. So to bring on Lee Grace, a defender for him, I felt Bradley asked for a little bit of trouble in a way because Breslin had a chance just before Mulroney scored as well, and he invited Pats onto them. And I just thought maybe that Clancy might have had the upper hand in the last 20 minutes over Bradley, and that's a concern for Shamrock Rovers as well. And to win the league as well, can you really win no games in your first 6? It depends because on the consistency of others as well. But it's ultimately, look, it's drop points again for Rovers.
The next game's away to Dundalk, and then after that, I think it's Bows. So,
and you have to remember, a lot of their points that dropped have been late equalisers as well. Which is,
to answer your question, I don't think so. But what they will be happy is that they're 10 points behind Bows and not 10 points behind Derry.
Even this
I think they'll be happy with that. As you say, late equaliser, Sligo, Drogheda, Pats.
Now they did come from behind against Cork, but ultimately only a point.
There's 6 points that they've thrown away late on. So look, it is worrying if you're a Rovers fan and Stephen Bradley, especially in this game where you're 2-1 up, you're on top, and you're not. You haven't got that third goal. They sort of they kill the game or give you that cushion. And that's probably why he's throwing Lee Grace on us. They probably maybe give that wee bit of a surety. Look, we haven't got the third goal that we need to kill the game, but let's go the opposite way and maybe shore it up a wee bit at the back and not give him a sniff at the other end.
I think it's the fact as well JP took Kenny off, and Kenny, I thought, his movements and he was causing. He wasn't giving the Pats defensive moments peace. I would have been delighted as a defender to see Kenny go off the pitch.
Absolutely, and Pats are probably thinking that too, and it's probably give them a bit of a confidence boost and thought, you know what, we can maybe push another 10 yards here now and put Rovers under pressure, and that's what they did, and Mulroney's just, I think he's had a pop shot really rather than he's I'm going to have a go here and see what happens. And for me, I thought maybe Al Manis could have done a bit better in my opinion, Keith.
Maybe.
I thought it was a great strike, but I
think he was surprised by it though.
He was probably surprised, so he hasn't got his feet moving as quickly as he probably would have done. But as you say, 6 games in, no wins for them, 5 draws, 1 defeat, and their defeat coming against Derry. So it's not the ideal start. I think the next 2 games is Dundalk and Bows before they play UCD. And then they could picture going into the UCD game, which is the final game before the turnaround. If they haven't picked up a win on their first date, But I think what they will be pleased about and is they've come out of this game with a draw. Their last two games with a draw, and Derry have come out with a draw as well. And I know I keep saying Derry and whatever, but Derry are the team you're expecting. The
It would
Rovers will
still be
be
a big surprise if Bohs were to win the league. So you're looking at Derry,
Rovers are
Shamrock Rovers, you're
Rovers.
looking at Derry.
Yeah, because Shamrock Rovers aren't looking at Bows in terms of winning the league. They're looking at right where Derry, how many points are they in front of us,
Exactly.
and that's why I said they'd be happy that they're 10 points behind Bows and not 10 behind Derry because they probably feel like they could probably maybe reel Bows in. It's whether
Yeah.
Derry can it's whether Derry can put the foot in the gas in the next few games or whatever and try and get themselves away from Shamrock Rovers. But this was a game that probably two teams didn't want to lose, and that's probably affected Stephen Bradley's.
But yet they
Sort of,
both went for it in a way. It was so funny because also,
yeah,
as I said, there was a lot of dodgy defending in the game as well, and reckless and panicky defending and all that kind of thing. Even from Rovers, who you're so used to seeing being very good. You can
yeah,
understand from Pats a bit with the goals they've conceded in the last number of weeks. But from Rovers, it was like Pats could add a few more themselves, you know?
yeah, but that's the Rovers from last year, not this year, because
No,
they have conceded silly goals this
exactly.
year.
Yeah.
So,
It's
but
10 goals. Yeah, it's a lot for them.
and that's probably played into Bradley's decision. They substitute Kenny for Luke Grace. He's thinking, look, we're 2-1 up. We've thrown it away in 2 hour games.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw Grace on here, maybe try and get the win, and it hasn't worked that way. So, yeah, I think Stephen Bradley will be worried. I think Clancy will be happy that
They got something.
they've got something out of the game. That them two horrible defeats is where they kind of gift the goals to the opposition has gone, and they now can look at the Rovers game and think, right, well, we fought back twice to get a 2-2
I
draw.
will
So
give them credit in this game because unlike some of the other games there, now you can see they were lacking confidence in many ways, but that's what it was, lacking confidence. But the effort and desire and some good football was there as well. Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
previous games, you wonder about a few bits and pieces like that. But I'd have to give them credit for that. But Pats, from their point of view, now need to build on that. And another next game is against ECD. And to be fair,
yeah,
it
so
gives them
perfect
an
opportunity.
opportunity.
Yeah, perfect opportunity. Now they build on it. I'm sure Shamrock Rovers probably would have wanted UCD rather than and Dundalk, and because Dundalk would say haven't been playing well, but they they've been getting points on the board and something that Shamrock Rovers haven't done. And
I think
gonna
Rovers, I know that we're not talking about this particular game as such, but I think Rovers nearly have to go there and win. I mean, could you imagine Dundalk winning that game against Rovers? Suddenly they're 9 points ahead. And then Derry could win, potentially, or Bowls win. I think Rovers
yeah,
and a draw. Okay, technically it's a good result, but I think they have to win that game. Already I'm saying they have to win the match.
yeah. Well, they have to win one of their next two, basically.
At least.
They
Yeah.
have to win one of their next two. As I said already, they've the third game after that UCD, and then you're into the turnaround into the second phase of matches. So it'll be quite remarkable if we're going into that UCD game in a couple of weeks' time. We're talking about Rovers, but at the end of the first phase of matches and having picked up a win. So, I think they have to win one of their next two at least.
I would say at least 4 points.
Both of them, both of them are away from home, which is not going to be easy. Especially the way Bows are playing in
Yeah, but
Dundalk.
that's going to be a true test of their character now. They have a break, they can assess. That's where they really have to go. Like, they have played good football in their last. They did play some good football against Pats, to be fair, and against Shelbourne. So there's still things that they're doing that are right. You know what I mean? It could be just you need that win, but it needs to come very quickly.
They just haven't got that conviction that they had last year.
No.
It's not to say that they've lost
Spark.
anybody really. Like they've kept Gaffney and they've kept Green. They've added Johnny Kenny. They lost Chris McCann in midfield, but he's probably not somebody that
he would have been in and out anyway.
He's not a match winner. Like they've Jack Byrne in there, Richie Toyle, Ronan Finn still there. Like they've had
Trevor Clark actually played really well against Pats. I know they've lost Marcus, but he's really good.
Trevor Clark as a wing back as well. Yeah. That's probably the one big loss is Andy Lyons because if you remember back to last year, he started off like a house on fire. He was popping up with lit winners in these kind of games, and that's probably the one thing that they are missing is Andy Lyons, and maybe Trevor Clark's not as prolific or attack minded maybe as Andy Lyons.
Just not as good, probably, as Andy Lyons.
So yeah, so that's probably the one place that you can maybe pinpoint of why they're not winning matches. Because Andy Lyons always got himself into the box. I don't think Trevor Clark does that as often as maybe Andy Lyons does. Look, it's probably not Trevor Clark's game, so I'm not going to stand here criticizing and telling him he needs to do it
Although
more.
I have
Look,
to say, he did attack well against Pats, but it's different than Andy Lyons. So, you know, kind of like, it's just
yeah,
different.
yeah. So that's probably the one area that you can maybe look at and say, well, that that's one area that maybe are weaker 'cause they last year, like, and um, it's no reflection on Trevor Clark or whatever, like, because he is a good footballer. We've seen it before he went over to England, so he's still finding his feet a wee bit, and I'm sure as the season goes on, Rovers will get stronger, he'll get stronger, and um, but it's must win now at the minute for Shamrock Rovers. If they really want to like make it four in a row, they have to like start picking up wins.
Absolutely. Thanks, JP, for that. That was excellent. People at home, let us know what you think. If you're a Shamrock Rovers fan, can they still win the league? Are Pats improving? Let us know what you think. Your comments, any team, any game, refereeing decisions, whatever it is. A lot of people like to talk about them. So subscribe to the channel, hit your bell notification button. Thanks for watching. Cheers, JP.